Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me as we talk about this Virgo super new moon at 25 degrees. So it arrives September 17th, right at 4 a.m. Pacific time. And I felt really inspired to make a video about it instead of write about it because there just seemed to be a lot of components that I wanted to address or bring light to, probably because I have a Virgo moon, so it feels pretty fitting. All this energy that we're in is anytime there's a new moon, it's an opportunity for a new beginning. And what makes this a super moon is that the moon's orbit is actually intersecting with the Earth closer than usual. So the pull is a little bit stronger. We might feel the energies a little bit more than just a regular new moon. But overall, it's a time to set intentions and to really plant seeds. So new moons are actually when the moon is completely dark and we don't see it at all. And so it's a time to really kind of rest in a place of darkness and to get clear on what it is that you would like to plant or to nurture. The last full moon we had in Pisces was pretty significant in terms of feeling like, okay, we're really wrapping up a cycle. We're really closing out, some patterns and things like that. And this new moon in Virgo is it's a very different energy, but it is the medicine. The opposite sign is always the medicine for each other. So now that we're in this new moon in Virgo, we really want to look at our life and the energies that are manifesting and really see if it's a path that we can nurture and that we can really attend to, or if it's something that perhaps needs a little tweaking or a little kind of rearranging, because that's what Virgo does. Virgo finds the bug. Virgo's a feminine sign. She's mutable. All the mutable signs hold an element of magic to them. So that's Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. They're highly adaptable. And what they do is they're really like the seekers of the zodiac, the mutable signs. They help us to learn, from any experience. They're naturally very contemplative. So we're in an energy of contemplation. Lots has been going on, and the world can seem really harmful and distraught and that it's falling apart. There's lots of things surfacing in this time. And so this new moon is really, I feel, appropriate, to talk about. Virgo is, so the Virgo template, let's talk about that first. Virgo is really your healing power. You have Virgo in your chart somewhere, and that's going to be really kind of highlighted at this time. So Virgo is an energy of purity and devotion to her craft, to her service. And she's connected to the archetypes of the herbalist or the holistic nutritionist, or the mentor, the guide. Ultimately, Virgo becomes a master at a certain skill, that she really wants to perfect, and so her motivation, what really propels her to move forward, is to be present, to infuse the divinity into the mundane, to really be fully aware of what it is that you want to manifest. So she's all about consciousness, and the shadow of Virgo is like being, kind of nitpicky or even a perfectionist. But Virgo teaches us to make things sacred, to simplify, to center in simplicity, but to bring a sacred element to everything we do. And so she's ruled by Mercury. Virgo is highly analytical. Mercury also is a co-ruler of Gemini. And so the thing about Mercury is it rules it's our lens of perception. Everything comes filtered in our Mercury sign, and it's how we think, it's how we speak. It's even our humor a little bit, it's that lens in which, okay, everything's filtered through our Mercury sign. And that's how we kind of synthesize and process information. So Mercury, you could say, is really overseeing this whole lunar passage. And Mercury's in Libra. So Libra is a very diplomatic sign. It's a peacekeeper. It's an agent of beauty, balance, and grace. And it's always looking to harmonize. It's very co-creative. It's really an energy that helps us see things, from another perspective or point of view. And so Mercury's at 17-degree Libra, and it's also in a square to Jupiter. So squares I don't know why people get really worked up about squares. They're really, really opportunities for growth. And of course, Jupiter is 350 times larger than the Earth. So this is an opportunity to see things in a new way, to challenge perhaps your belief systems, to challenge the way that you synthesize information or truth, or even just the way that we're triggered, because we also have Mars retrograde, which is we're kind of settling into that. So things are getting calmer. But when it first went retrograde, I know that there was a highly reactive element to it, that was on the 9th. So these things here, the Mercury squared Jupiter, that's an opportunity for growth, for mental growth, to conceptualize, something in a different way. Because we all take in information and then through our human lens. And what Virgo does, one of Virgo's gifts, is she takes these high-level concepts or really vast certain experiences or even teachings, and she digests them and breaks them down so that she herself and others can really digest this information into pieces that are more gentle and more kind of just appropriate for humans to understand, for us humans. So many healers are Virgos or hold a high Virgo template. And I know that's been true in my experience with different mentors and guides, because Virgos are really able to take the higher ethereal realm and break things down so that there's a simple teaching or a simple message. So the thing about Virgos is they clean up, they simplify, they synthesize and systemize things so that we can understand things in a better way, that they've actually, what Virgo energy really excels at is taking anything that could be of practical service, like a tool, a practical tool for our healing journey, and helps aid us in our process. So even though Virgo is ruled by Mercury, right, has a very inquiring mind and very analytical, Virgo's always looking to see beyond the veil and to take the root cause of a certain situation, a certain kind of experience, and get to the root of it. It's an earth sign, and it's looking to, find answers, but it's also highly practical. So I like to say Virgo's like a has really operates off practical intuition, rules the small intestine. So that the whole thing about digesting information, Virgo does it first before, she feels confident enough, and most likely will then distribute that information to the collective or through some type of service. So that whole mercurial connection, Virgo's very aware of the spiritual current of what people need, on their healing journey. And that's another reason why I feel modern in our modern day, that actually Chiron is the ruler of Virgo, because Chiron is actually the wounded healer, where he's, and the story of Chiron is really quite interesting. He's a product of abandonment, of rape. He comes in incredibly wounded and even disfigured. And of course, he's immortal. So there's this energy behind Chiron that he has to, find a way to be here and to be on earth and to be able to find happiness through meaningful work. And to me, that's just that total archetypal connection to Virgo. Most Virgos are really dedicated to their healing because they're working to see beyond the illusion, of certain systems, certain things that have been in place for so long that aren't working. They can see that. They're not trying to fix, new problems with old solutions. So the whole thing about Chiron also being in Aries, I know I jump around, I do that, is just because I want to incorporate that into the Mars and Aries. So we kind of have some like tension with this new moon. We've been building into it. The whole thing about Mars retrograde, Chiron retrograde, they're both in Aries. So really this whole thing of us accepting ourselves, really accepting our identity. And even if we don't know what that looks like right now, it's really about authenticity. Aries, out of all the signs, is really about individuality, and expanding into that is really what this Mars retrograde is about, because Mars is a very stimulating influence. He stimulates wherever he is in your chart right now, you're going to feel this added stimulation. He's going through my third house right now. So I have I was joking last week, like, I'm going to spit fire because I was just easily triggered. And on that note, with both of these signs, especially Chiron being in Aries, expect the triggers just, to arise, and to know that whenever a trigger is really coming up and it's in your awareness, that what's on the other side of that is actually a very, very deep healing. It's an impetus for a resolve, to resolve something perhaps in your body. It's like an emotional block has been kind of popped or moved, like when you're getting a massage and you have this really intense knot and all of a sudden it's like broken up. You're like, whoa, I can see clear, and I feel like, all my energies are moving properly. So, this is something that takes time. And the thing about Virgo is it's all about the journey. It's about our healing journey. And that really, the journey is the destination. And that's so much about what Chiron stands for, and Chiron in Aries, that you are purposeful and that you do have a role in this ascension process, in this grand awakening, by being you. There's this whole um, as we individuate, we actually unify. It's a paradox, but that is really the whole, you could say, mantra for the age of Aquarius. The more we individuate, the more we actually unify. And so we have this, I mean, if it's not a paradox, is it really even a spiritual concept? And it doesn't have to be so complex. I know I sometimes do that, but again, it's about accepting your own truth without forcing it on another, without forcing hostility or, um, gosh, take a moment before perhaps reacting to someone, because it's really an indication that reactivity, it's natural, right? It's something that's been oppressed or suppressed. Right now we're experiencing kind of a split in consciousness or in the collective. And I know many spiritual, like, teachers have talked about it. I know the spiritual community is talking about it. 3D, 5D, and then 4D is basically this overhang that is our teacher. We get to discern, right? Virgo teaches us how to discern what is real and how we want to manifest our reality according to really living in a place of sovereignty, right? Taking back our sovereignty and really giving ourselves the power to create our own reality. So allow this new moon to come into your awareness and give you this opportunity to really, get in a mindset of what you want to see manifest, because this 25-degree Virgo's in a really beautiful trine to the Saturn Pluto reset. That's the whole global and individual reset that we're in, and we have been in since January. So this is kind of a nice harmonious energy that we know we're in the process of rebuilding. Things are still collapsing. There's a lot of dissemination coming out. There's a lot of stuff coming out. It can be overwhelming. So it's important to really drop into your heart space, to get clear and to get into, to be true to yourself above all else. Virgo is a very self-sufficient energy. She is whole unto herself and is a way shower, a lantern bearer, because she doesn't engage in things unless she finds it to be meaningful or purposeful. And sometimes we have to learn the hard way what that is. But this is about really getting clear on a direction for yourself and how you want to move forward, right? The moon is dark. So it's a time to plant seeds in what would be considered a fertile, rich, fertile soil. So the more we kind of allow ourselves to integrate all these energies, it's been a wild ride, and the more we experience this disclosure of corruption or exposure of corruption, the more kind of our nervous system needs time to recalibrate and settle into like the new higher frequencies. And many of us, like, we truly came here to experience this. It's like, even myself, I have to be like, Dana, you chose to come here at this time. And it's pretty remarkable, to experience what we're each experiencing, because yes, there's a very collective experience happening. We're all connected. And so a lot of us are feeling, the weight and the trauma and the sadness. And then there's also this element where we do have to really cultivate faith and allow and really get into a space of like, okay, so what can we do, right? Like world reform. I know it doesn't happen overnight, but what this new moon is asking is like, okay, you're seeing things in a new light. Virgo's actually esoterically ruled by the moon, um, because her goal is to pierce through the unconscious, to take what is not known and make it known. Um, so there's this, that's why I say she pierces through um, the veils of illusion. And it's not that she demystifies or I mean, a little bit demystifies, yes, but it's not that she takes the magic out of life. It's just that she brings a practicality that is very grounding and humbling, to some of the higher ethereal energies. And really, I like to say Virgo is an earth angel. Like she truly bridges the gap between, heaven and earth because of her ability to travel through those elements, being those realms being mutable, having that heavy connection and rulership to Mercury. Like she can fly, but then she's also, here on earth because she wants to be. So I feel like Virgo, um, takes these concepts and provides us with all of this wisdom and teaches us to pay attention to our body. And also because of her high awareness to Mercury and all of the energy going on in the broadcast of information, Virgo is always reminding us like to be discerning, to take a step back and to be very cautious of like, okay, maybe social media or, how much am I spending my time here and here? And it's all in the details. It's all in the little things. Virgo reminds us, okay, let's hone it. Like, let's really hone in. Let's pay attention to the body. It's, Virgo rules the small intestine. So are we taking time to digest our emotions, our experiences? Are we taking time to really, move that through our body? Because a lot of times we can get stuck energies and things like that. And of course, over time, that can become really, really painful. But we're in a time right now where really none of that is going to last. It's kind of just being naturally worked through. Like many people are definitely reporting, interesting ascension symptoms, feeling like they need to fast or extreme hunger, and it's all connected to different energies. You can look at the Schumann resonance, or, there's obviously astrology helps me, put form to the essence that I'm feeling. So I hope that me sharing this information is helpful for you in some way. The what I wanted to say is this whole thing about like, oh, how are we going to rebuild and reform? It's not that we're actually, going to see that happen overnight, but it's that we're going to start thinking about it. This is what we need. That's what the Virgo new moon does. It brings awareness to things that were hidden before, and we're going to plant seeds, for the next harvest. And so that's what she does. She's always making things better, all about self-improvement and self-betterment. Of course, her biggest feat is learning to, love the self as she is, while still, improving and doing things like that. And self-love, is huge for Virgo because of her desire to always be of service and to be, to be devoted to her craft. Sometimes like she can neglect herself, and then that will manifest as a body, perhaps issue or digestive issue. So that's always an indication to scale it back and, go into rest and self-care and really pay attention to what you're eating, so basically this is all about the idea phase, the new moons, planting seeds, ideas, awareness, thoughts, concepts, writing something down. This is whenever there's like earth trines, there's a high potency for manifestation. So because earth is earth and things are always, taking a minute to travel down from the higher ethereal planes into our, kind of our, into our physical reality. So don't think because something isn't manifesting right away that you're doing it wrong, or that you're out of alignment, because everything is still going to unfold in the timing that you can handle. That's part of, you could say it's part of the law of attraction, although I don't think if you have a bad feeling that you're not going to receive a blessing, or, something beautiful can't happen to you. I'm not really into that, but I do love many other of the law of attraction teachings. So just the other element of this Mars retrograde is he'll be retrograde until November 13th or 14th. And this is really, whenever planets are retrograde, they're magnetic. They're going to bring experiences to you that you need to filter through your process and your experience to learn and to grow. So everything about, retrogrades, it can just feel like you're in a more internal process, and that's okay. Everyone handles them differently. Part of the, Chiron and Aries, like jumping back to that, is really feeling safe enough to be yourself. Like a lot of us light workers, star seeds, whatever label you can identify with, way shower, a lot of us feel like out of place, being here on earth. And a lot of us kind of feel homesick in a way, even though we like came here, for a specific mission and purpose to really elevate the collective energies. And you do that just through you like you being you do that through like expressing yourself and showing up places. Like there's nothing really special you have to do other than be you. So I know a lot of us like to hide, myself included, when things get really, really heated, because a lot of us are bringing new information to the collective, perhaps through a skill or a divination tool. And it can rock people who haven't been able to look at things in a certain light, in a while. And so that's this North Node in Gemini, where we're working to combine like the logical and the intuitive mind. There's this kind of, and this will be for the next really 15, 16 months, so the North Node's also squaring the moon. And then of course that means it's squaring the South Node. And then now the nodes, they look like headphones. So they're like the things you want to tune into. It represents our karmic collective destiny for the duration it's in that sign or house, looking at your chart. So we're seeing a fall away of, perhaps rigid dogmatic beliefs, and we're becoming a little bit more open to that there can be many truths that exist, that we are actually quantum beings, and we can tap into that. We can tap into our quantum selves at any time if we're willing to let go of certain systems and structures that have probably provided a lot of relief and support up until this point. But what Uranus and Taurus does is it comes in and says those structures are no longer supporting your evolution. So it's time to let go. It's time to see those, to wish them well and, farewell, goodbye. And so the North Node in Gemini, I think, is especially challenging for the collective because it's about being able to see things from another lens, to kind of zoom out and see like, wow, there's many paths home as there are people. And, sometimes it can be disheartening when we're in a complete opposition or complete like rivalry with a loved one, a family member, a friend, and it can be like, yeah, really hard on the heart. So, just try your best to have compassion for yourself and for where everyone is at, and just because everyone is having their own experience of truth, um, that everyone's going to have their revelations and things like that when it's appropriate for them. So Gemini, of course, mutable magic, so there's a lot of magic going on, even though it's hard to see. We have Venus in Leo, which is, of course, reminding us to self-love and to be proud of our gifts and to be proud of our passions and, to have, to not be apologetic about what sparks our fire, what keeps those embers going and roasting, so I love Venus in Leo. So at the end of all of this and kind of the aspects that we're working through, there's a lot of healing the identity wound, feeling like you have a right to be you. This is the whole thing about Chiron and Aries. And with this new moon and the energies we're in, like there's no other way forward but to be you. So, dropping everything that feels unaligned, question the things that feel like they just aren't working in your life. That might be, something where you set a new intention to perhaps, refurbish, redefine, whether it's a habit, a person, a place, or thing. These energies are going to reveal themselves within the next really week. New moons are always felt sometimes before, sometimes after, and the clarity that comes in is quite profound for each person. So the overall kind of closing message for this Virgo super new moon is allow yourself to contemplate, to ruminate with the voices of your own counsel and, to listen to what that wisdom is trying to bring you or teach you. It's really important to enjoy your own company right now. Virgo, of course, is always teaching that, that it's okay to, to be independent and to kind of like focus on what you need to focus on. So if you have to eliminate certain distractions and things like that, that's going to be pretty coming up, during this passage. And it's a really great time to get clear about what it is that you enjoy, even if it's something as simple as like, looking at flowers, or maybe you want to grow something next year. Maybe you want to, start all this, all the shifts and changes have inspired you to want to start to grow your own food, or even like a couple herbs. Start small and to start simply. That's what a lot of this energy is about. What are the little changes you can make that just really enhance and nourish and enrich your life? So, give yourself an opportunity to be inspired with this new moon energy. It is the sun and moon conjunct. Well, that's what every new moon is. You know, it's definitely in an opposition, you know, to Neptune. So Neptune's still really strong here, and it is reminding you that although we can get really analytical and caught up in the details, that there is an element of, you know, cultivating faith that's really important to this passage. You know, Neptune's also retrograde. So this is about, you know, really paying attention to that inner voice, that inner authority. So, you know, it's okay to take a break from the concerns of everyday life and to really allow yourself, because again, Mercury, the mind, is it directly connects to your health. So with the North Node in Gemini, Mercury in Libra, squaring Jupiter, you know, just be conscious of what you're feeding your mind. And I'm not saying like disassociate. I'm just saying, you know, give yourself the opportunity to feel good. Because a lot of us, you know, feel global guilt and feel, you know, the pain of the collective. We're very empathic. So, you know, this is getting a little long. So this is a good time for me to probably wrap it up. You know, and to accept love, to accept that you are loved, you know, whether you feel really lonely right now. You always have, you know, guides. There's always people out there. I mean, I've met tons of my friends through the internet at this point. So if you're feeling like you need extra or added support, just on your journey, and you really want to dive into maybe how these energies are showing up in your life in real time, I do offer like 1 hour sessions or even transit readings, you know, so we can look into that. I love to look into like the individual charts. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and please take extra good care of yourselves. Bye.